Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So I'm back home after the long day's travel from Berlin back to Argentina, and we are going to be reviewing Nilly's Apartment Cup 4. So of course, spoilers, if you haven't actually checked out the tournament, I will be going through everything, so I'm spoiling everything. If you want to just look away, this is the time. But if you've already caught up with the tournament and enjoyed it, it's good to have you guys here. And yeah, basically I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick recap of my entire experience with the tournament. Thank you so much to those who kept up with the vlogs while we were there. It was the first time we've done vlogs like that, so if the quality wasn't up to par or the content wasn't exactly the best, bear with us. We will get better as time goes on, but we enjoyed doing it, so hopefully in the future we're going to get more vlogs like that, and hopefully with better quality and better content. So with all that out of the way, I've got everything ready for some Nilly's Apartment Cup recap. Final prize was $85,000, which was absolutely amazing. Huge thank you to all those who donated, up to $35,000 more than the original $50K. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. This is the prize distribution for those who are interested. All this can be seen on Wikipedia. And what I like about this distribution is that even the guys who didn't have their best tournament, they still go back with a good amount of money, which is really important in my opinion. But of course, the top four, again, like everyone's making a good amount, which is really, really important, I think, because at the end of the day, we all took 2 weeks of our time to play the tournament and put on a show for the fans, and everyone deserves to be rewarded for that. Okay, we're going to start off with the Swiss stage. I'm going to go through every single round I played and talk about, how I was feeling, a little bit of the games. And then at the end of, the group stage, we're going to take a look at the playoff stage. And then after all that, I've got a lot of pictures and clips to show you guys as well. So I'm really going to encompass the entire NAC experience in this video, hopefully. But yeah, let's start with round one. So I played against ACCM in the round one. This was an important round for me because, for me personally, I like to get a good start to the tournament, and it's the time where the meta is the most unknown. You come to the tournament, everyone has their own preparation, everyone has their own strategies, and this is the round where the most random things can work. And so that's what I tried to make, that's what I tried to have happen. In the first game, we played Fidget Lake. I went for a barracks right away. Something that I talked about in the interview. I said it wasn't like the best strategy in practice, but I thought, it's enough to, shake things up. And it ended up working out. We played a nice series. He caught me with Cumans on Fortified Clearing. That was the loss I had in that series. And honestly, that was really well played from ACCM there with the Cumans. He told me as well afterwards that he did that in practice and it was unstoppable. So Cumans tower rushing on Fortified Clearing with a 2TC boom behind it was actually very overpowered, and it's very interesting to see how he was able to destroy me with that, but also destroy all the people he played in practice with that as well. So that was round one. Felt pretty good at the end of it. Even the loss I had, I went to the tournament wanting to ban Cumans. First round, there's no ban, so I was like, okay, I'll play against it. And I lost to it, so I wasn't surprised to drop a game or wasn't, sad about it or anything like that. I felt like I still had a good result, and I was happy to take round one. Then I move on to round two. I'm playing against Velez, and honestly, I think this might have been one of the hardest rounds in the group stage. I know it's a 3-1 victory, so it's like pretty, convincing for me on paper. However, there were a few games in here that, just one or two decisions or one or two things differently, and I could have lost the sets. We played that epic Poles Mines game, of course, that I had to really grind it out to beat the Poles with 5 relics. Had I lost that last fight or one or two fights that went a little bit worse for me, I could have easily just lost the game and got out-grinded and outlasted by the Poles. But yeah, I was very happy to take the series in the end. But the Mine Pole game was crazy. I can't remember any other games off the top of my head. Oh yeah, the game I lost, the Aztecs Khmer one on Fortified Clearing. Again, a very hard game. I almost came back at some point. Like, it was looking good. Not came back. It was looking good, but then his end game was just so strong. Like, he had Eagle raids on the sides with that Eagle, Monk, Pike, Treb push in the center, and it was just so overwhelming. I couldn't stop all the threats. GG, well played to Velez there. But yeah, one of the hardest rounds in groups, probably the second hardest round. Probably Leary was the hardest round, so Velez probably the second hardest round. Moving on to the hardest round in groups, which is against Leary. It was 3-2. Also, I can zoom in here to show you guys a little bit better the table. That might be slightly nicer. Yeah, we'll do it like that. I can even make my camera slightly smaller. No, too small. Perfect. Okay, that's that. Okay, yeah, so round 3 against Leary. This one was an important win, but like because it's obviously like round 3, if I win, I'm in a good position. But because it's against my teammates, it ends up playing really weird. We both know what we have against each other, and we both want to like save strategies, so we don't want to like reveal like the proper strategies we had for later because we're against each other. So it kind of just went down to like a skill fest on the maps that were like pretty common. And it was super close. I went up 2-0 at first. Then we had, 2 map wins from him. But one of the best moments was the revolution that he had in the arena game. I was Turks pushing him with Janissaries and castles and fast stimp and everything, and then he just revolution at the end and actually pushed me all the way back. Very controversial game. We're gonna take a look at that one later, and I'm gonna make a whole video on that game showing whether I could have won if played theoretically perfectly, or whether Leary would eventually just win anyways. People were saying I early resigned, people were saying I reacted poorly, and people were saying it was an easy win had I just ran back. So there's a lot of opinions out there, and you know what? It's one of those ones where I don't have all the answers. So I'm going to dive into that game and take a look at, what could have happened, and I'm going to come to a logical conclusion for you guys in a YouTube video later on. I have the clip as well I'm going to show at the end of the analysis, so we can watch that Flemish Revolution clip from Leary. But anyways, it was 3-2 for me in the end, and like I said, this was the hardest round in groups just because I felt like Leary was really sharp, and we were both playing pretty well. And yeah, I ended up, I forgot what the last map we played between us was. I could check here actually. Hold on, round 3. No, it doesn't show the results, does it? Oh, it does. Yeah, last map was Kawazan actually. Oh no, yeah, the last map was Kawazan. First map was Arabia. I ended up taking it with Italians versus Byzantine. And yeah, I remember that game actually at this point. But yeah, pretty sick set between me and Leary there. And then I move on to round 4 up against the Viper. It was a 3-0 for me, but honestly, there was 2 games in there that was that were pretty close. Game 1 was the Mayan Sitar's game on Arena. Sorry, not Arena, on Arabia. And that was a really fun game because there was a lot of action. I feel like a lot of Arabia games sometimes are like wall and boom, but I tried to like push the the limits of mines with like the 2TC fast imp, and he went for like the boom plus that all-in castlage. That made the game super dynamic, and in the end he almost had it where like he almost stabilized. And it's the kind of thing where if I make 1-2 mistakes, I just lose the game. We saw, like, I don't know if you guys know it, the game that Sebastian played against Viper. He was also playing as the Mayans. Viper, I don't remember what his civ was. I think it was Chinese or something. And yeah, like Sebastian was winning, Viper like boomed, spread out, and then Sebastian made a few wrong moves and Viper came back and won. And same thing could have happened here if I wasn't careful, but luckily I played really conservative and just waited for the Eagle switch to win the game. That was Arabia. Then we had one of the iconic Northern Isles games between me and him, and it was a really close one. In the end, I won because of the middle control, but his Vikings were damn scary, and I actually learned from that to use them in the finals versus Leary. So you have to learn from the close games and from the losses here. But yeah, that was a really good series versus the Viper. The last game was forgettable. It was Aztecs and Kawazan versus Byzantine. Byzantine are just really bad on that map, honestly. People thought they were good, but they just weren't. And yeah, that was round 4. I felt really good about this one though, because Viper's a guy that's one of the top in the world, of course. And if if you ever have a chance to play against him, it's a nice match, and to beat him is a good result. And moving on to round 5. I was supposed to be safe in round 5 no matter what happens, but then there was an obscure scenario where if I lost 3-0, I can be out of the top 2, and being in the top 2 is important to secure the semifinals. But in the end, I beat Taro 3-1 and felt pretty good about it. And then just to round out the groups, it's me and Leary at the top. That means that we go to the semifinals directly, which is a huge achievement. We were both extremely happy after this day. After this day, we went for like 2 days off and we just relaxed a little bit more. We didn't practice that hard because one thing I learned from tournaments is that, yes, grinding games is important, being sharp is important, but also like the mental aspect of it, being fresh mentally, not burning yourself out is equally important. And it's something that I learned from Red Bull, where I just grinded games every day and then burnt myself out before the match. This time I felt fresh for the matches coming up, so we took 2 days off to rest and we only practiced a little bit in those days. Moving on to the playoffs here, I'm going to zoom in once again to make it a little bit more visible. Hopefully that's better. Yeah, very nice. And yeah, I'm going to quickly go through my matches. It's only 2. I went straight to the semis, of course, and I played against Yo. This was my most proud series, the 5-0 versus Yo. Honestly, I actually felt like I was playing really well, but I also felt like Yo was playing pretty well as well. The only thing that Yo kind of messed up with, or the reason why I was able to kind of exploit every single game with an early game advantage and just win from there was because he was a little slow with his builds. He was always like 1 pop slower. He was always a little bit more sloppy in the early game, not as sharp. And every single game, you can go. Excuse me, I'm talking too fast. You can go rewatch them as well. Like every single game, I had an advantage from the early game, and I was able to push from that advantage. So I don't even think that I necessarily like completely dominated Yo. I think it was just that I was able to gain an advantage early and hang on to that advantage. Couple games did get messy, of course, the Berber Bull Rush game on Hippopotamus, but because I knew it was coming, I was easily able to, you know, adapt to it and you know, put up a solid defense and not just get completely caught off guard by that Berber Bull Rush. Yeah, all in all, I was really happy with the series. I felt like I played some of the best Age of Empires of the tournament. Probably the best Age of Empires I played in the tournament was against Yo. So like, I felt really sharp. It was my day, and these things happen. But he said one of the best compliments I've ever gotten from a pro. At the end of the series, he said, "Wow, you play freaking amazing." And to hear that from someone like Mr. Yo just felt amazing for me. Like it just felt so good. You know, I put in a lot of work to get to that position, and then that was a crazy result, and to have a compliment like that from Yo right after the set was just yeah, just a really perfect way to end the semifinals for me. And honestly, massive props to Yo for just, you know, giving me a compliment there instead of just you know, a more regular reaction, which is just to like props and then, you know, move on, think about the games yourself. But he gave me a really nice compliment there, so big shout out to Yo on that one. And then moving on to the finals, playing against Leary. I will talk about the semis between Leary and Viper. I watched the whole thing. That was a crazy series, and honestly, it came down to the wire. The last game, Viper had a good chance to win, but Leary went for his best win condition, which is all in Paladin, and he made it work. And throughout the whole series, it was pretty back and forth. Every game was competitive. I will say I felt like Leary was a little sloppy on some games, a little careless. He lost a few vills and kind of fell behind in that early game a little too many times. You know, usually he's not, you know, losing that many vills to raids. He was also getting raided by knights and stuff, like constantly throughout the series, taking way too much damage. So it was a little sloppy from Leary, but I think overall he was you know, good enough to take the series. I thought Viper played pretty well as well. It was a really close one. And then moving on to the finals, it was me and Leary. Definitely the closest series of the tournament, and probably the best series of the tournament as well. I felt like I played really well. I felt like he played really well. Not much to really say about the finals, which is weird, but it's like 5-4, and if you haven't watched it, I recommend you just check it out, because even if you know the result, it's the kind of series where every single game was amazing. I think the best games of the series were game, I don't remember the number, but the Enclosed game and the Golden Swamp game. No, Golden Lakes game, sorry. Golden Lakes game and Enclosed game. I lost both of them, but it was games where we both had a good chance to win, and it was like amazing performance from him to squeeze out the win in the end in both of those ones. So yeah, just crazy games in general, and those two stood out. But anyways, that's gonna do it for the entire analysis of NAC4. Overall, the vibe in the apartment was amazing as well. I really enjoyed being around all the players. It had the perfect mix of like a professional but casual and like laid back environment. Huge shout out to Nilly for all the work he did and hosting this massive event. Before I end the video though, I do have some you know, some clips to show you and some pictures from the meet and greet. Yeah, let's go ahead and hop right in. So my favorite clips of the event, we've got number 1 here. It's going to be me and Yo.
To get put into that TC, so some big villager kills, in fact, because he still hasn't noticed. He's focused right now on this demo, just like we are. And how many villager kills will he find? He loops it in and finds the perfect kill. 8 villagers go down in that moment. Woo! What a play out of Hera, but he's looped.
Alright, that was just crazy demo hit there. I think I killed 7 vills there. It's funny because the chat's going crazy, the casters are going crazy, but then the actual storyline here is I lost like 10 vills at home. So, you know, even though it was a massive hit for me, I probably ended up that play negative because of his night raids. But of course, the highlights there, and that's what people will remember. So yeah, this game is crazy, by the way. There was demos everywhere. This was the biggest one that got clipped. Next up, we have the Flemish Revolution. The clip is titled Flemish Chadvolution. And yeah, this one is crazy. You're gonna move my camera here. And the funny part about this, Leary's laughing.
89 army, 0 for Leary.
And he thought he was gonna lose when he did this. I talked to him afterwards.
Is it gonna be be enough. He's got a big old smile on his face, man. He knows. He knows.
Oh, he could hear the whole house screaming, I'm sure.
Can he make it? Look at Hera. He's walling in all of his trebs.
Oh, that's the perfect play, because if you defend from this, you win. You have actual economy.
Flemish into 2 castles, though, and Janissaries.
I don't know if
it's going to... It is a lot of army.
The Jans are going to disappear.
They absolutely are.
The bombard cannons and the trebs have nowhere to run.
72 military to 19.
This tech, though.
Oh, my goodness. And look at... We got the monks moving forward for conversions as well. Who needs siege units when you're just going under the castle?
It's working.
I cannot believe
working.
it. I cannot believe it. He's chasing the trebs away. Look at Hera trying to run him around in circles. Do what I can here.
Oh my God.
And Larry's victorious. No way that worked.
Yeah, we were both just laughing at the end there. But it's funny, like you see his face. He's laughing at first. He thought he was just clicking it, and then he's gonna resign, and he ended up winning with it, which is absolutely crazy. Freaking wild storyline. I'm going to be reviewing this whole game in detail in a future video, so I'm not going to analyze it too much. But the fact that he thought it was a troll and ended up winning was hilarious, and yeah, just one of the best moments of the tournament. And then lastly, for the last clip I have, esports handshake between Jordan and Velez. Everyone has to see this.
GG, well played. This is not my set to win. And Jordan potentially finishing 9th in the group stage.
That was just amazing. You know, they messed it up at first. One went for the handshake, the other went for the props. It's never a good mix when that happens, but I like how they saved it in the end there, and both players, of course, are laughing and joking about it together, so that was sick. And then, oh, that's wrong scene, sorry. Let me go back into it. Sorry, there we go. And then lastly, I've got some pictures from the meet and greet. This was from Experion. So big shout out to them for the venue. There was a really sick venue, by the way. They had like car racing games. They had places to play Age of Empires. Like they were doing like community games. And there was like food and like drinks, and everything was available for the people to yeah, just, you know, enjoy the games on the big screen. And it was yeah, a really nice event. I went there myself. And yeah, here we see some of the pictures that the fans took. These are a bunch of players, of course, and Doubt, just having a good time with Viper Leary set in the background. Here's Velez and, of course, Viper Leary drafting. Then we see some of the games. Look at the big screen here. Random Red Bull trophy there as well. And yeah, we have Dash, Dave, Tato, Jordan, some of the GL guys as well. And, you know, just an amazing experience from the looks of things. This is a bit more of a view from the back. A lot of chairs, of course, the games in the background, and then of course the day I went there as well, we had the signing. All the players were sat, and this picture you'll see more. All the players were sat there, and the fans, you know, walked in a straight line. They had some cards for us to sign. Some people brought their CDs, their old, you know, booklets, and it was really sick. I got to look through a fan's booklet. He had like an original Age of Kings booklet. It had like the tutorial for the games. Super nostalgic. I love seeing stuff like that, and yeah, I wish I was able to get my hands on one of those myself, but yeah, no one had any extras for like the old school stuff. I have the old school Conquerors and Age of Kings disc though. I'm pretty happy about that myself. But I don't have any of the pamphlets or the booklets that came with the original game. But yeah, super nice tournament overall. One of my favorites, if not my absolute favorite so far. And yeah, that's going to be my recap, my NAC4 experience. The flight back home was super sick. We actually upgraded to business class. It's worth mentioning because it was really cheap to upgrade to business class, well, relative. It was like $200, and we ended up upgrading, which was really fun for me because it was like a new experience. And they give us like a bed. I usually hate flying, but I love this one. They give us like a bed, you had like constant food, and it was just like a really amazing flight back home, which is great because I usually hate the flights back home. So everything about this trip was fantastic. I had like zero downsides to it. And yeah, that's going to be it for the video, guys. I have one last NAC video coming to you guys. It's going to come on Thursday. It will be a highlights video of all my good plays and my fails from the group stage and the playoffs, and that's going to be a little highlight video from my editor, and then I'm going to talk about individual games in future videos as well. But this is it, the recap for NAC4. On to the next tournament. Take care, guys. Peace.